Ohio State University quarterback CJ Stroud has until Monday, the 16th, to decide if he's going to declare for the NFL draft. We're going to talk about why that's important for the Chicago Bears right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
All right, Bears fans. So I know many of you guys are like everybody, and it's seemingly not even just Bears fans. Everybody around the NFL landscape in a lot of ways are looking and trying to speculate on what the Chicago Bears are going to do with the number one overall pick. Dropped a video yesterday, was pretty much well received. Just, the conversation on how the decision between Bryce Young and Justin Fields is probably going to be one of the most important decisions of Ryan Poles' career. Again, I think that we should stick with Justin Fields. That's what I want to see the team be done. But another decision that could be made that could very well impact the Bears offseason is a decision that's not even in their hands. And that's CJ Stroud's decision on whether he's going to return to collegiate football or if he's going to declare for the NFL draft, which that decision is coming down this upcoming Monday. He has until then, and we'll find out then what's going to happen. And the reason why I say this is going to impact the Chicago Bears hugely is just flat out. CJ Stroud right now would probably not go lower than 4th in the NFL draft this season. And with that being said, if he is drafted at that level, he's going to have about a $26 million contract with about $36 million in signing bonuses. That's huge for him. But the clause in the NIL deal that's going to allow him to be paid to play collegiate football next season, I've seen numbers that he can get paid like upwards of like $3 million, something like that. I haven't verified that. I'm not as informed on college football and the NIL deal to really speak on something like that in depth. But the decision that he makes, if he does decide to return to Ohio State University to chase a national championship and get paid there and probably be the number one overall pick outright next season and not have to do this back and forth with him and Bryce Young, the reason why that is going to affect the Chicago Bears in a major way is just simply it allows the Bears for even more power in deciding that deal when you look at it. If you eliminate CJ Stroud from the board, while there are some other quarterbacks the teams I'm sure are interested in this draft, it really makes Bryce Young and getting him, for teams that see this as an opportunity to get their quarterback in Bryce Young, it makes it even more imperative that they get that deal done, meaning the Bears could net even more in draft capital or have even more just power in negotiating that deal. Teams are going to have to come and be jockeying for that number one overall pick even more so because they don't have the say, oh, well, we'll just draft whoever falls to us between Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. They won't have that ability to do that. Now, one could also say that this does affect as well the Chicago Bears, how far they can move down in the draft if their goal is Will Anderson Jr. or Jalen Carter, because if the Bears fall too far down now without having two top-tier quarterbacks at the top of that draft, we'll see what the Bears end up doing. But it's just interesting how this all is shaping up. Like, I know the storylines in sports is one of the biggest things. That's why we talk sports. That's why I have this channel. That's why, sports broadcasting is some of the biggest things that you can do, is because the storylines that go into sports, the storylines that go into things like this are huge. And so to see what the Chicago Bears end up doing in this situation and how it affects the future of this team is going to be huge to watch. So, it's really just an interesting piece to see, because a few years ago, this wouldn't even be a conversation. Just not even a decade, right? Not even that long, right? Which is usually how sports change. It's changed a lot decade to decade. It wouldn't even be a question for a quarterback of CJ Stroud's caliber. He was going to declare for the draft the moment he had eligibility, basically, so he can get paid. But CJ Stroud, who's spoken out very much of how the NIL deal has helped him and his family hugely in this time of him playing college football, it's been huge. And to see if he does end up going back, if CJ Stroud goes back to college football and staves off a year of going into the NFL, that's going to be huge. That's going to be its own storyline overall. But to get back to the Bears and what this affects on the deal, if CJ Stroud does not declare for the NFL draft, the Bears and their demands for that number one overall pick just instantly go up even more. Meaning, if you are already going to offer the Bears a deal packaged around a player, which one of the deals presented by David Kaplan, we're going to talk before we end this episode, you automatically have to add, another second, maybe another first? You have to add some more picks to it to make sure that you outbid on that number 1 overall pick by the other teams who are possibly going to be bidding for that. So it's just going to be interesting offseason, and it just gets even more interesting once CJ Stroud makes his decision Monday. And if that decision is to return to college football, woo, that asking price, the cost to do business just went up. Now, in talking about that cost to do business and it possibly rising, there have now been rumors going on that that the Colts are prepared to offer a package built around Michael Pittman Jr. and of course their number 1 pick in the draft, their first round pick in the draft this year. Of course, it'll take more than that, but this makes it even more interesting and enticing for the Chicago Bears. They possibly move down in the draft to where they could still get one of the potential generational defensive linemen coming up in this draft, but you also add a wide receiver that has a bunch of the skill set that you would want. 6'4", 223 pounds is Michael Pittman Jr., only 25 years old. Fits in that timeline. Last season, his numbers were this. 17 games played, 1,082 yards, 6 touchdowns from him. Again, not anything world-beating or anything like that, but it does leave a lot to be said that there is a potential for that. So we'll see what ends up happening. If that is the deal, we know Michael Pittman Jr. is he the surefire number 1 wide receiver? No, we still add more wide receivers that don't necessarily shape out to be to be just a surefire number 1, but I'm looking at Michael Pittman Jr. saying, hey, we can do a lot worse than this if that's what it came down to. So if the Bears can end up adding him to the team as well this season, so I gave you the numbers for 2021. In 2022, he had 99 receptions. He was targeted 141 times. He had 925 yards, 4 touchdowns. So again, not the world beater as far as a wide receiver, but he can add depth to that wide receiver core. And I tell you what, a wide receiver core of Chase Claypool, Darnell Mooney, and Michael Pittman Jr., listen, if we improve the offensive line, give Justin Fields more time, the running game that we have, if we end up bringing David Montgomery back, that's a potent offense that could dazzle in the NFL. So the Bears definitely going to have decisions to make this season. And I, for one, can't wait to see how this all shakes out for the Chicago Bears. And it's going to get a little bit more interesting come Monday. So Monday's daily episode, be tuned in for that because we're going to talk about it and what the results are if CJ Stroud does end up deciding to go back to college football. Let me know what you guys think about all that down below. Sound off. What do you think if CJ Stroud is eliminated from the board and not entering this draft? How much do you think that increases the Bears' chance to get not only a draft pick to get one of the defensive linemen, but also maybe get a player, maybe not a wide receiver, maybe they offer something else, but what do you think it's going to be? Let me know all that down below. Make sure you're following the show at Chi Bears Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text and our voicemail, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number 1 spot for everything Chicago Bears related. Like I like to end everything on Bear Down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.